Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Azim from PBI 6C. Today here I want to present about my research proposal. And before it, I do sorry if I cannot show you about my material because it is still in my laptop. But it's no problem. I will read and explain correctly, carefully to you. Okay, my research proposal, the title is the use of ESL lab to teach students English pronunciation. The first point is background of the study. And here I want to jump directly to the main background of my study. As a result, the concept of pronunciation is actually the context of practical ways related to communicative competence. When teachers teach pronunciation, they should apply the features of pronunciation that are segmental and suprasegmental within communicative context so that the learners are able to speak and express English language without the effects of their mother tongue. Mother tongue is often a barrier for someone to pronounce or spell English correctly. This is caused by the habit of speaking people in their daily lives. For example, in Indonesian, words written with the same vowel will produce the same phonetic. So this is what makes English difficult because the phonetics are unpredictable and indeed have to often hear other people pronounce a good English. And then in Indonesian only has two sound systems, vowel sound and consonant sound, while in English it has more than two. There are diphthongs, consonant, clusters. Even Indonesia only recognize vowel letters A, I, U, E, O, but in English there are many vowels, L, I, E, and etc. And the vowel sounds are not easily pronounced with our tongue as Indonesian speakers. And in this study, the researcher, I am, used English lab to stimulate students' listening skills. By listening to audio in ESL lab, maybe students will get used to listen English sentences from native speakers and imitating how native speakers pronounce their English sentences. Using mobile device in learning English as a second language gained positive feedback from both teachers and learners. Provide more interesting learning environment, allow collaborative activities, in immediate feedback for students, close interaction for students, and increase learning performance. So the ability to speak their English pronunciation will improve. And then the second point is a research question. Based on the background, I am formulated a question. The question was, how effective is ESL lab in learning English pronunciation to the member of ECC or English Conversation Club at MA Raudatul Ulum Pati. And then the objective of the study is explain the effectiveness of ESL lab in learning English pronunciation to the member of ECC at MA Raudatul Ulum Pati. And then the significances of the study for the teachers I was expected to be kind of evaluation and reference for English teacher in developing interesting methods to support the EFL teaching and learning process in the classroom, especially for teaching pronunciation, which is the main crucial things to speak English. And then for the students, this research was conducted to give high motivation on learning language through the method that the researcher used so the teaching learning process will run successfully. And then for the readers, this research could give knowledge about ESL Lab audio, and the result of the study is expected to be a reference for the next researcher. And for the next researchers, the last significance of the study, it will get some knowledge and experiences in teaching pronunciation. And then the literature review, here the researcher used a previous study from Nikmatul Hasanah. The title is Teaching English Pronunciation by Using Minimal Pair Drill, an experimental study at the high grade of MTS Darul Amanah Kendal in academic year of 17-18. And then jump to the theoretical framework. The first is ESL Lab. Actually, learning English pronunciation can be in various ways. One of them by using audio from ESL Lab. Randall's ESL Cyber Listening Lab has been providing online English listening comprehension quizzes and activities for ESL and EFL learners since 1998. Now, based on the ESL Lab official website, there are 3 levels that can be adjusted to the ability of students. The first is easy, intermediate, and difficult levels. Usually the easy levels can be given to elementary up to middle school. Then the usual intermediate for middle school students up to high school students. And in this study, I used the member of ECC students at MA Raudatul Ulum Pati as the object. The basic elements of ESL Lab audio is to improve listening ability by presenting various themes in a conversation. Students capture the contents of the conversation, and of course we'll get students to know about the speaker is pronouncing carefully. Yeah. And then the second is pronunciation. Pronunciation is the act of giving the true sounds of letters in words and the true accent and quality of syllables. Pronunciation refers to the ability to use the correct stress, rhythm, and intonation in a word in spoken language. Okay. However, in teaching English pronunciation, such assimilation should be avoided, and learners need to be taught correct segmental and suprasegmental features of pronunciation. Pronunciation deserves strong attention in English class, especially in classes which focuses on communication. Like in ECC, poor pronunciation can cause problems in oral communication. No matter how good a speaker has control on English, grammar and vocabulary. Therefore, pronunciation is very important to provide understanding of other people who are communicating with us, so the misunderstanding does not occur in a communication. And the research design in this study, the researcher used an experimental design for measure the pronunciation of ECC's member in MA Raudatul Ulum Pati. And then quantitative research is approved research explain a phenomenon using numerical characteristics of individuals or groups. Based on the resolution, researcher decide this research to use quantitative research variations because the data in this study are numerical and ordinal. Source of the data: the first participants of this study are the member of English Conversation Club or ECC, which is one of the extracurricular in MA Raudatul Ulum Pati. And then the setting conducted The researcher conducted this study at Radatul Ulum. It was located at Desa Guyangan, Pati Regency, Central Java. And population and sample. The population will take the 10th and 11th grade of ACC's member at Radatul Ulum, and then the sample will take two groups of ECC's member. The total member of the sample is 40 students, which are 20 students for each group. The indicators of dependent variable were students were able to pronounce some similar English sounds in the conversation are given, and the second is students were able to distinguish sounds in ESL lab audio appropriately. And then independent variable, the indicator is the first, student observe the expression of some dialogue. Student read the conversation script, and then students comprehended the conversation main content, and the last is students practice to pronounce the conversation in right expression. And then technique of collecting data. The first is observation. Observation research is that which is based on things seen. The researcher and the collaborator used observation because they want to know the member of ECC students' activities in pronunciation class. On the observation, researcher used observation sheet as the instrument of collecting data. The researcher observed the students' activity during the class and the tutor's way of tutoring during the class. And then pretest. Pretest is the first step of the data collection. Before a researcher gives some treatment to experimental group, the researcher gave a test to both of group, experimental control group in same way. And the third is post-test. Post-test also be given to experimental and control group. The researcher gave a test after treatment was being done. The treatment in this research was teaching pronunciation by using audio in ESL lab, which was taught to experimental group, and teaching pronunciation without using ESL lab audio, which was taught to control group. The hypothesis is two hypotheses in this research. The first is alternative hypothesis. Teaching English pronunciation by using ESL lab is effective, and null hypothesis is teaching English pronunciation by using ESL lab is not effective. Okay, the researcher of this research decided alternative hypothesis as the hypothesis of the research. Okay, that's all my presentation today. I do sorry if you hear another sounds exclude my voice, because it is not a very private room, and I do sorry if I cannot show you about my material, and I doesn't understand about my explanation. I hope you always healthy, always happy, and see you again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.